welcome to the BackMarkers F1 show. This is our new series that we're debuting on our channel. In addition to our podcast, it is F1 Power Rankings. If you're new to our channel, make sure you check out our videos down below and hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the rest of our Power Rankings series throughout the rest of the 2019 season, and also our regular race recap and race preview podcasts. So, getting into Power Rankings, the way that we've sort of decided that this will work is that we've come to an agreement between the three of us. We've gotten our heads together. We've spent hours and hours debating on our top 10 of the F1 Power Rankings, and we've come up with a list that I'm sure everyone will agree with, because that's what YouTube's all about.
Is agreeing with everyone.
Yes. We're not going to get any hate comments on this.
Not at all. So what we've decided to do is take into account the last 5 races. We're not going to do any silly point scoring like the F1 website does or anything like that. Machinery is counted in. We've also taken into account qualifying and the races. So let's get into it and reveal our list. Let's start from actually the bottom. We'll go from 10 to 1.
10 to 1?
We'll tease everybody for the big finale.
I think number 10 is the best one.
Yeah.
P10, who do we have?
Well, it's my man and possibly the 10th best race car driver, right, as of right now. Well, he is, according to us. But it's George Russell of Williams. And everyone's like, what? A Williams? What's going on there? But he's been very impressive as of late in qualifying and in the races as well, you know, slowly getting up the spots. I mean, he's done fantastic in terms of against his teammate Kubica. I mean, it was like 1.3 seconds faster than in qualifying in Hungary. He qualified not second last in Hungary, which is also very impressive.
Almost Q2.
Almost got a Q2 and has raced very well. He's been throwing the car around. So George Russell for us gets P10 and a very good mention in the top 10.
An honorable mention is Alex Albon, because we debated putting him 10th as well, because same reason. He had really good qualifying. He's performed really well in the last couple of races or so. But
yeah, that was a close call.
Yeah.
P6 in Germany. So, it could have been. But we gave Russell, considering the car circumstances, put him in 10.
Put him in 10.
So we got George Russell in P10. Moving on to P9, possibly one of our favorite F1 drivers of all time, Mr. Daniel Kvyat, the new father, recent podium man.
Father Daniel,
Mr. Kvyat. And I had him in P9, I think, for the similar reasons that you guys had him. Obviously, the podium finish in Germany, which has been incredible. Even his race in Hungary, the overtakes on Alex Albon, and due to unfortunate strategy, had finished the race in P15 behind his teammate. But I think that overall, Daniel Kvyat has had a good run in the last 5 races, in addition to his good season so far. And obviously, that podium place gets you into the top 10 almost automatically.
Has to.
Right? So, and he hasn't crashed into anybody in the last 5 races, so that's positive.
That's a positive for the torpedo. That's why it's Father Daniel now.
I think it's a missed opportunity not calling him Daddy Daniel.
That just sounds weird.
No.
Maybe his race engineer calls him that.
Oh, maybe.
All right, P8, who do we got?
We have Lando Norris in P8. I think there was this kind of one of those things, you know, it's hard to put him under anything under P8 and in the performances, not just in his last 5 races, just his overall racing this past season. I think it's well-deserved in terms of his qualifying and a lot of his performances in the races, despite, you know, sometimes he just gets a butt end of the team strategy and here and there. But I think overall, I think he deserves P8.
Yeah, I mean, he's been good in that McLaren. The McLaren's
he's been consistent since the beginning of the season.
Yeah, he has been. A couple of issues that aren't his fault that has let him down, but he's been solid, and I think he's going to be one that to watch throughout the
next few years.
3, 4, 5, whatever amount of years.
Yeah, the only reason I guess we didn't agree to put him higher was just sort of his racecraft and race pace in comparison to his teammate. But some of those were unlucky, failures, bad strategy, slow pit stop in Hungary, for example. So, yeah, I think 8th in our rankings is a good place for Norris, and I think that he's going to be in the top 10 most likely for most of this season going forward.
Yep.
P7.
Well, I don't know. I think it's just it's Kimi Rikknen. It's Kimi Rikknen. He's done wonders in that Alfa Romeo that isn't really that great, but he's shown that could be a decent car. He's driving the heck out of that thing, and he's been very impressive, very consistent. I think the only 3 races so far this year that he's failed to score a point. Other than that, he's been in a points finish. So make that 9 out of the 12 races. He scored points for Alpha and has been obviously the main points getter because Giovinazzi hasn't really been getting too many points. But just fantastic from the flying Finn and possibly the best Finn on the grid.
Agree with you there. P8 and P7 in the last 2 to 3 races. Would have had the point score in Germany had it not been for the penalty, obviously,
That's
with
right.
the whole clutch system. But that's more of an Alfa Romeo thing. But yeah, I agree with you there. I think the way that he's been wringing the neck of that Alfa Romeo, he's just been quietly one of the most impressive drivers of the season.
For sure.
And being in that low-key Alfa Romeo environment, he's really enjoying himself. You see it in the interviews. He's joking around with reporters, which we don't normally see from Kimi. So I think it's great.
Yep.
All right. Moving on then, P6, we got Mr. Charles Leclerc.
Charles, yeah. Maybe not as high as some people would have him, but
No.
Yeah.
I think this was I think the next like 2 or 3 spots were kind of a debate we all had of where to put everybody, because I'm sure we could replace Charles Leclerc with somebody else if we really wanted to. Somebody who's, had a few good races the last couple of races, but he's been consistent the last 5 races.
other than crashing in Germany
Other than that,
and Hungary. He did crash into Bottas technically.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he still held on to his position despite that, But yes, I think overall he's had a pretty good races.
I think that's why we didn't rank him a bit higher up, was because of the Germany crash and the Q1 crash in Hungary. Obviously, Austria, I think, could knock him down as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that was still a great race for him. He got a pole position as well.
Yeah.
His battling with Verstappen in Silverstone, I think, is a great boost for him. But ultimately, I think 6 is where we decided was the right area for Charles Leclerc. Okay, so moving on to P5. We're in the top 5 now. Getting interesting.
Is it me?
It's
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
P5, we have Valtteri Bottas, because, again, despite his last couple, he didn't do too well in Germany, right? Am I forgetting this one?
No, he crashed very
He crashed,
hard.
yes. That's what it was.
The crash was good, but
It was a good, it was a good
Spectacular
crash.
crash.
Again, just an inch on the wet. But yeah, I think the biggest reason we put him up there was because of all of his qualifying sessions.
Yeah.
Sure, when it comes down to the race, and once in a while he's not competing as well with Lewis Hamilton. And I think in Germany, even when he was still in the race, he was fighting against
Well, he couldn't get
Lance
by
Stroll. Yeah, exactly.
But, I
But-
mean, hey, who can get
yeah.
by Lance Stroll, right?
That's true.
But
he
yeah,
did have a P2 though in the race before Germany.
exactly. And even in this one, if Charles Leclerc didn't crash on him, he was second in qualifying. I think he would have had a good race overall. And despite him getting all the way down to 18th position, still managed to finish in 8th place. So, yeah, I don't think we can count Valtteri Bottas out of our top 10 power
No,
rankings.
I agree.
Yeah, and the qualifying for me, finishing ahead of Hamilton at
Consistently.
Silverstone at
Mhm.
a Hungaroring, typically Hamilton tracks, is why he's still in the top 5 for me. P4.
P4 is what will be new father, Sebastian Vettel. And it's been a resurgence as of late. You could say he's been one of the better drivers on the grid, but this ton of top 4 is very tough. He had a P2 in Germany after a fantastic race, going from 20th all the way to 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
P3 in Hungary. Races before qualifying has been solid for him, and he's starting to get more returns with his Ferrari car as of late. So I think up and up for Vettel, and doesn't deserve to be in the top 3, but deserves to be in 100% the top 4.
Yeah, and I think Vettel was one of the drivers we kind of had in different positions. I think I had him 3rd at first when we brought our own list in. You had him in, I think, 8th or 9th, and I think you had him.
I had him 4th.
Yeah,
right where
so
he is.
Yeah, this is where we had to compromise.
This was, it was a hard call. But yeah, I think Vettel, he deserves that 4th position because he's still, the last few races, I think he himself, he's noticed he's performing much better in that car, and overall he's just been having better performance despite his qualifying not being the greatest.
Yeah, we only had one unanimous position. That was P1. So
And-
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
That's true, actually. I say P2 as well.
Yeah.
No, not P2.
Yeah, not P2. You're
No.
right.
Yeah, just for me on Vettel, I think the qualifying, the issues technically was not his fault.
Yeah,
Obviously, the
for
big
sure.
one in Silverstone when he crashed into Max Verstappen is a huge negative.
Yeah.
But I do agree. He's coming in more in terms at home with that car.
Mm-hmm.
And the Germany race was a pretty spectacular drive, which was sort of showed who Sebastian Vettel was. It kind of reminded everybody. So, yeah, it seems like it'll be good for Vettel post-summer break. So yeah, now we're into the top 3.
Yeah.
We're into the podium places of
Top 3, Chris.
the BackMarkers F1 show power rankings. And in third position, we have the smooth operator,
Smooth operator.
Mr. Carlos Sainz in P3. He's been one of the most impressive drivers all season, but especially in the last 5 races. 2 consecutive P5 finishes. And just to show how competitive Carlos Sainz is, he wasn't even that happy with P5 at Hockenheim.
No.
No.
Well, I wouldn't be either. He
Yeah,
crashed.
he knew he
Right.
could do better.
Kind of.
Yeah.
He kind of
Yeah.
crashed.
Oh, yeah, he did, yeah, and recovered that. But for him to be able to finish ahead of a Mercedes, a Ferrari, or sorry, not the Ferrari, Mercedes, and another Red Bull is a great boost for McLaren. And Sainz is almost, with Lando Norris, is responsible for McLaren having a nice advantage in P4 in the constructors.
Yeah, 100%. He's been very smooth behind that McLaren throughout the season, and has to be one of the better drivers on the grid so far this season. He's had,
Yeah.
I think, the most impressive year so far. I think he's been the most improved driver on the grid so far this year. I could see them getting consistent podiums if they do close that gap. It is a big gap, but if they close it, I think you could see Sainz up there.
Yep.
And
All right.
in my, I'm just for my defense. I had him P2 in our power rankings.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you guys did not, so I compromised there.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where the sort of disagreements were started a little bit.
Cause yeah, like I could see Carlos Sainz in being in
He's just
in
been
second
so
position.
good.
He's been very consistent. Are we gonna do P2 right now?
Let's
as
do
well?
P2 right
Yeah.
now.
Should
I-
we do P2 and P1 together, or I guess they're kind of a given?
No,
right?
they're not.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
people will figure it
No,
out.
no, they won't figure it out.
P1, Robert Kubica.
Ah,
Okay, so P2 we have Lewis Hamilton. I mean, he's been the best driver on the track the entire season, except for the one other person.
except
we
for the
have.
last 5 races.
I mean, despite what happened with him in Germany, he still came out in Hungarian and still performed really well. And I mean, he won at the British Grand Prix, set the record for the most wins at the British Grand Prix, and then even at Austria, he still had a pretty good race. So,
yeah, it's Lewis. I mean,
and there was France before that for taking that race into account as
Right,
well.
right.
So
5-time
Yeah.
world champion. He's been awesome. Not the greatest qualifyings here and there, but
still shows up
his
when the race.
racecraft
Yeah,
is just unbelievable and has to be down there as one of the greatest of all time, I think. But no, he's been good this season. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
in line for another world championship.
he could easily be number 1 in our ranking system, but
Mhm.
you'll find out why he wasn't number 1.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing too. His teammate did out-qualify him in the last 2 or 3 races.
Yeah.
But again, you saw his charge in Hungary reminded us how good that he is, and really, like you said, he's on for the 6th world championship, so he's going to be interchangeable in that number 1 spot, I think,
Mhm.
going forward, unless
Yeah.
he has a slide, which he usually doesn't post summer break.
Yeah.
So that leads us then into the number 1
Yeah. Number
in the
1.
power rankings.
Um,
Who could it be?
It is Haas driver Romain Grosjean. He's just been fantastic, I think. Easily the best driver on the grid.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always finish.
No, it
but
doesn't always
usually-
finish, but he is the best driver. No. Obviously, it's not Romain Grosjean, poor guy, as much as we love him. Maybe one of our number 1 for our fan favorite, but
Right.
he's
Yeah.
up there. But no, number 1 is, in fact, the Flying Dutchman, Max Verstappen. I think for obvious reasons. 2 race wins, a pole position, and has brought life to F1 in the midway part of the season when it really looked dull. He's kind of brought this season worth it. He's made the season worth it for sure.
Mhm.
And he's been fantastic the last 5 races. Recovering after a spin to win in Germany. Obviously getting clouded by Vettel, but still finishing, somehow
Yeah.
limping that Red Bull home was impressive. And just in general, he's been easily, I think, the best driver on the grid.
Like,
The last
Probably
5
the
races.
best wheel-to-wheel racing we've seen all season
Yeah.
has been with Max Verstappen. So
Again, in the last 5 races.
yeah,
Yeah,
So-
and last 5 races, when we compare, or the last couple of races, he's outscored Lewis Hamilton
Yes.
93 to 88 points.
Yeah.
And he's narrowed the gap to the championship to Valtteri Bottas 7, or just 7 points separate them
Is
now.
it 7? I thought it was less than that.
I thought it was less than that too.
I thought it was
Well,
like
I
3 or
guess
4.
I think
don't know.
it's
Let me
7 points
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If
Oh,
I'm
maybe
not
I was
mistaken.
I was calculating when he had with 25 points, not 18.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, it is 7
Yeah,
points.
he did score another fastest lap point.
That's true.
So that's another factor
19.
that goes into our ranking. But yeah, I agree with Ollie there. The form in the last 5 races, he's been the best driver on the grid. Could have had the 3rd win in Hungary, obviously, had it not been for a great drive from Lewis Hamilton and obviously strategy calls. But
Mhm.
he's been absolutely on fire, and that pole position just elevated him to another level, in my opinion. So Max Verstappen, power rankings #1 for this round of the World Championship in
Yep.
Hungary.
Let us know what your power rankings are down below and everything you don't agree with us, because I'm sure there will be a lot. But do let us know what your power rankings are, and have a nice discussion down in the comments below about why you have them there.
Absolutely. And we'll be doing a summer break version of the power rankings, and where we can maybe do one for the whole season.
Yeah, the midways. Yeah, it was kind of. This will be like a midway through the
Midway point. Yeah.
season.
Yeah, and we'll take the whole season into account, and then after, when we get back for Spa, we'll be doing these power rankings after every race
Yep.
until the end of the season. So very much appreciate everybody watching along. Please do subscribe to the BackMarkers F1 show, and we'll see you next time.